There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Isn't that powerful? Right? There's only one life. There's only one thing happening here, and that is God's life. And God's life just happens to be perfect. And from that perfection, I have been created. And so God's life is actually expressing as my life.
And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Bach Norwood.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
With a name like Bach, you would expect perfection. So where else can you go on a Sunday morning and have meditative chant, devotional hymns, full-out Pentecostal gospel, and a jazzy rendition of What a World, What a Wonderful World? So our theme this year is a world that works for everyone here at CSLDallas. And in fact, more than 100 centers for spiritual living around the country and the globe are also digging into this theme this year. How do we contribute to a world that works for everyone? What is ours to do in that regard? And it's so fabulous that we are able to do that, but we wouldn't be sitting in this room even having this conversation except for our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. So many of you know that this past Thursday was Ernest Holmes' birthday. He would have been 129 years old this week had he still been in physical form. But what I know is absolutely true is he is here right now. His presence, his energy is everywhere any of us are when we are studying and talking about science of mind. And he whispered in my ear just a minute ago and said, do they really know anything about me beside my name? And so in my mind, I was like, I don't know. Let me ask them a few questions to see if they do. So let's see, question number 1. Where was Ernest Holmes born? What city and state? Akron, Ohio? No, not quite. Massachusetts. We want him to be from Massachusetts. How about Lincoln, Maine? Lincoln, Maine. Question number 2. The first book Ernest Holmes published in 1919, I'll give you a multiple choice. Was it This Thing Called You? Was it B, Creative Mind? Or was it C, The Science of Mind? Well, some of you are saying A, and some of you are saying C, but Brandy King guessed correctly that the first book in 1919 was Creative Mind. And I'll give you an easy one, a true or false. Well, it's a true or false. I don't know how easy it'll be. True or false? Ernest Holmes had dinner with Albert Einstein. True. In unison they say true. And that is true. You can always find out more about Ernest Holmes through our classes and also by visiting the Science of Mind archives, which has all kinds of information. But because we are celebrating his birthday in the last few days, I just wanted to take a few minutes and bring his presence here in each one of our hearts, because I know there is no limitation by physical time or space. I would invite you to join me in saying happy birthday to Ernest Holmes on the count of 3, knowing that he is hearing it, breathing it in, and the love we have for him and for this movement is evident in our enthusiasm. So on 3, happy birthday, Ernest Holmes. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday, Ernest Holmes!
Yay! A world that works for everyone is not just an abstract idea. Last week, there was an opportunity for us to connect in with that from the reality that all of creation begins from the divine. And so why don't you, just to bridge the 2 weeks, say this chant with me just one time. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Isn't that powerful? Right? There's only one life. There's only one thing happening here, and that is God's life. And God's life just happens to be perfect. And from that perfection, I have been created. And so God's life is actually expressing as my life. Each one of us can say that. I mean, just breathe it in. God's life is perfect, and God's life is my life now. Wow. What if I really behaved as if I believed that as being true? That this one God, this one higher power, this one spiritual essence, no matter what name you use to describe it, it's this one entity of life that manifests itself in and through all creation. All creation. And I smiled when I think about that. It's like, oh, there's lots of different forms of creation, but it's all expressing that one life. So imagine this with me. Imagine that there's a table here, and on this table, there is a tall vase. And we're going to put flowers into that vase and have a really beautiful arrangement. And this arrangement is a reflection of our favorite flowers. So maybe 10 people, tell me what your favorite flower is, your personal favorite flower.
Iris.
An iris, roses? Tulips, what? Peony. Did I hear calla lily? Okay. Violets. Anything else? Lilacs and some over. Daisy. I love daisies. So imagine if as each person called out their favorite flower, I was actually putting it into the vase. The rose, the daisy, the calla lily, the iris, all of the different names of the flowers. Each one of them is God's creation, right? Each one of them is beautiful in their own unique way. Each one of them has different needs. They flower differently. They look different. And at the same time, each one is the perfect creation of God, filled with godness in the form of a lily or in the form of a tulip. That's amazing to me, that every creation is God manifesting itself in a unique way. So I think when that is true for the plants, and that is true for our pets. How many of you have pets or have ever had a pet? Yes? So I don't expect Chuck's dog Wally to look like my cat. I don't expect Sherry and Christine's dog Daisy to look like Matt and Melissa's snake, pet snake. Yes, they have a pet snake, a really, really big one. I don't expect someone's collie to look like or eat like someone's little dachshund or a poodle, right? Now, if you're like me, you realize that every one of these pets is different, and every one of them is perfect. They give you unconditional love. I don't know about the snake, but they give you unconditional love. They show up every day, and they exchange an experience with you, right? And that is spirit in perfect form. We don't expect them to look alike, be alike, need the same things, just like we appreciate the flowers in the vase, all being different. And I believe, and maybe it's a big stretch, but I actually believe that that is true for people as well. That each one of us, because there's only one life, that life is God's life, God's life is perfect, God's life is... Wow. It's my life, it's your life. And each one of us, by design, have been created to show up in a unique way, representing different qualities and attributes of God, different expressions of the infinite creativity that is God. I kind of chuckle about that because to me, every time I think about it, it's so big. I can't even really get my arms around it, right? It's awe-inspiring. It's awesome. And some of you know the song by Lisa and Etika that has the line in it, if you're not in awe, you're not paying attention. If you're not in awe, you are not paying attention to the miracle of God. You are not paying attention to the unlimited potential that is God expressing as you. You are not paying attention to the fact that you woke up this morning, and that in itself is a miracle. You are not paying attention if you are not in awe that the person next to you and the person in front of you or behind you is God expressing uniquely, right? So I don't know, look at somebody nearby you and look them in the eye and say, I see God in you. Look to someone else and say, I see God in you. I see God in each one of you. And later today, when you have the opportunity, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and say the same thing, that the miracle of God expressing in all forms of life includes, I see God in me when I look in the mirror. So I'm just curious, there's so many different ways that spirit can show up as each one of us. So I'm just going to call out a few examples, and if any of these examples or experiences or ways of being in the world relate to you or resonate with you, I invite you, if you're able, to just stand up and then sit back down. So is there anyone in the room who considers themselves a Texan? If so, just quickly stand up. Do I have any artists in the room? Are there any people in the room who are gardeners? Is there anyone in the room who is a business owner? How many people in the room identify themselves as Black or African American? Are there any people who identify themselves as Latino, Latina, Hispanic? How about people who identify themselves as white or Anglo? What about authors? We have some authors in the room. Yes, we do. We have some people who are millennials, maybe? Yes. Yes, I love it. What about people who consider themselves healthy? So grateful, so grateful. Any vegans or vegetarians in the room? Oh, wait a minute. Why do they get applause?
Let more meat for the rest of us.
Just a couple more. People who are men, please stand up if you're able. Men, women, stand up. All of these different labels are no different than the labels on the flowers of tulips or daisies or orchids or gala lilies. It's no different. We have labels to distinguish the unique qualities and characteristics and how we show up in the world and what we're excited about and what we experience. And if you stop to remember, just like the flowers, just like the pets, just like all forms of fishes and plants and trees, the labels are valid because they describe a physical expression of God. And they allow us to really see the unique ways that each person shows up. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I get excited about that. Ernest Holmes says that this one, the divine, God, Spirit, higher power, manifests itself in and through all creation. But it is not absorbed by that creation. Those of you who have taken a few classes here have probably this example, because it's an example we use frequently to make this very point. Imagine the ocean that goes out way further than your eye can see. You simply imagine the water going on and on beyond the horizon. The ocean is vast and wide, and the ocean is deep, deep, deep. Yet, every drop of water in the ocean contains all of the elements, all of the same elements as the entire ocean. But each of those drops is not the ocean. Each of those drops is just a drop. Can you recognize that is what is happening with us in our human expression as the individual incarnation or expression of the divine? That each one of us is perfect. Each one of us is an expression of the divine, which is the whole. And each one of us has all the attributes within us that allow us to experience humanity, but our divinity is the same. And I just have to breathe and take that in for me. You may not need to, but wow. The one manifests itself in and through all creation, in and through me. But I can never absorb all that God is, even though I have all the attributes available to me. So read this with me if you can see it. I am not all of God, but God is all of me. I am not all of God, but God is all of me. I have been created from that spiritual image and likeness. I have the attributes of love and beauty, peace, creativity, joy, wholeness, wellness, prosperity, harmony, balance, wisdom. It's in me. Yet I am not all of those qualities. I am simply the perfect Tracy Brown. Sharon is simply the perfect Sharon Rainey. Each one of us showing up. I can't be the perfect Carla Glass. Carla can't be the perfect Tom Bouldry. Tom can't be the amazing Valerie, right? That's what it means when we stand up and when we recognize that everyone is an individual creation of the perfection of the divine and how fabulous it is. A few years ago, Dr. Petra, in an example, in a Wednesday night class, actually had everybody stand up. I'm not asking you to do that right now, but she had everybody stand up and walk around the room. And as you came into proximity of a person, you would say, "Hark, there goes God." And then you would move to someone else and you would go, "Hark, there goes God." And we went around the room noticing, "Hark, there goes God." And it was so beautiful to remember and recognize every time we said that, the truth of it. And how often we forget that. We look for what's wrong. We look for what's not in alignment with our own personal values or beliefs. We look to judge what someone is wearing, how old they are, what they look like, how they talk, instead of noticing any of those things without judgment and spending 99% of our energy looking for that miracle combination that's Brian, that miracle combination that's Myrna. That's what I want to look for. And that's what I hope you will commit to look for. Because we are surrounded by infinite possibility, the goodness of life, the law, the spiritual and universal law that is always the river running through what we do and who we are. Spiritual reason and love. We're surrounded by infinite possibility. We just have to notice it, or we get to notice it. And when we notice it, that is what allows us to create together a world that works for everyone, because I can notice what I can share with you that serves you. I can notice what you have to share with me that expands my life, makes life more interesting or enjoyable. So don't forget that everything around you, all the people, as well as nature and animals and plants, it's all infinite possibility. It's all God expressing, showing up for you to enjoy, for you to learn from, for you to experience. since this power and presence is infinite, we can never encompass it, none of us, in our human experience. Now, in our divinity, we are it, and we have eternal, we believe in eternality and immortality of the soul. But in our human experience, in this physical form we are in now, we can never encompass all of it. We shall never encompass God. And yet, each one of us is always in God and of God. So, I ask you this week to join me in making this commitment. Beginning now, I recognize the infinite creator in my life and in the life of all creation. I'm going to read it again, and I want you to let my words be your words. Beginning now, I recognize the infinite creator in my life and in the life of all creation. Let's commit to be that this week, and let's take that into prayer. Beginning now, I recognize the infinite creator in my life and in the life of all creation. I recognize that this power, this presence that is infinite and nameless and changeless is the power, the love, the joy, the peace, and the creativity of the One. I celebrate it. And how awesome is it that this perfect power, this unlimited creativity, this joy and this love has created me, has created each one of us, has created all of life, all of the world, all of creation. How awesome it is. I'm paying attention. I choose to pay attention right here and right now to the unfolding perfection of the divine. And I choose right now to remember that every individual is an expression of perfection, of the One, of life. We are all made of God, and we are all living this experience of humanity in the circle of God. And we welcome everyone and every other form of creation into this circle, sharing, caring, growing, learning, laughing together, creating a world that works for everyone, one conversation at a time, one hug at a time, one word at a time, one day at a time. I'm so grateful for knowing that this is the truth of life unfolding and expressing. I'm so grateful for knowing that each one of us can make a choice to be a part of that expression and expansion of love and light. And I am so grateful that today, right here and right now, is the time. Now is the time to move forward, to breathe life into this truth and to express it without limitation, without doubt, without fear, to express it completely and wholly, yes, into that holy yes. I release these words, for it is not the words that do the work, it is law. That these intentions set by us right here and right now must fulfill themselves into physical form, because we claim it, we know it, we choose it, and we decide to be it. So if you, like me, are ready to be this amazing expression of God that we have been made to be, then I invite you to join me in anchoring this word, in accepting this word, and allowing it to flow unlimited in the universe by saying with me, and so it is.